Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a comparison between the 2022 Subaru BRZ and the 2022 Toyota 86, and this is actually the last video from the Chicago Auto Show, so we're finally done with that series, but let's get into the video. Let's get into the comparison. So starting over here with the BRZ, we have a naturally aspirated 2.4 liter flat four cylinder that goes through either a 6-speed manual or automatic. It's good for 228 horsepower and then 184 pound-feet of torque. Same exact powertrain as over in the 86 when we go over that. You guys can see the body lines here, and I love the blue paint on the BRZ. I got the LED accent light there around the projector bulb, and then you can see the accenting off to the side. And then I love how they've kind of designed the front grille. You guys can see there with the logo, and then pretty aggressive with the front splitter. And overall, I think it's a good looking car from a front end perspective. I think they've improved upon the design compared to the last generation BRZ, at least with the front end. Now, popping here to the tire and wheel setup, pretty aggressive for the car. You guys can see the venting there off to the side, and then the bodywork there at the very bottom. And then popping here to the rear, again, you can see the tire and wheel setup. And here from the side profile, I think, again, it's a really good looking car. Got nice hips there on the back. And so, yeah, they've just nailed it from a design standpoint. Now, popping here to the back, this is where things get a little bit controversial. So first off, storage space. It's a little sports car. It's not massive, but it's practical enough. So that's definitely a big plus. And this is where the car, in my personal opinion, kind of falls apart. Taillight's very similar to like the new WRX. That's why I showed you guys the new WRX right there in that shot. I just don't think it's great looking. I think that the previous generation rear end looks a little bit better than this. But you guys can see the exhaust tips there at the bottom on either side in normal sporty car fashion. And then notice that we've got our little vortex generator there at the top. And then here's the door panel, which I thought was actually pretty nice. Quick look at the mirror. So notice I've got like the Alcantara there at the top, and then you've got the padding with the red stitching throughout. Thought that looked pretty good. All of your, regular window controls, all that normal practical car stuff. And then you guys can see here with the seats in the back, they're great for storage, not necessarily for people because there's like no leg room. So it's cool that it has back seats, but they're not really all that usable. And then looking at the front seat here, you guys can see just how aggressive the bolstering is. And then I love the piping they put there in the center of the seat. I think it looks great. The seat is manually adjustable. Got the 3-pedal layout because this particular one has the manual transmission. And that's what most people get is the manual transmission. And that's what I recommend with this car. Even if you don't know how to drive manual, it's a great car to learn how to drive manual. So yeah, just go that route. You can see the steering wheel here. And notice you got the contrasted stitching there on the center portion. And all your regular practical controls there on the steering wheel as well. And then you can see here with the center gauge cluster. I don't think this one popped on if I remember right. But still cool looking. You've got the infotainment system, which you guys will notice a lot of this stuff, it looks very similar to the previous generation. There are some upgrades, but there's a lot of stuff that's pretty similar. And then they took off the shift knob for the auto show so that nobody would steal it. But it was pretty notchy, and I liked how it felt overall. And then you've got like your stability control down below, and then like your track mode with that as well. Heated seats, got the brake with the stitching. And then you can see here at the center console, that whole setup. And then you can see the padding there at the top. Pretty normal glove box. And also, you guys can see normal headliner as well. But that is the BRZ. And so now let's go from that to the Toyota 86. You guys can see the differences. And there's not a whole lot. So you guys can see a lot of it's the same. And also this color looked fantastic in person. It looks good in camera as well. I think they nailed it. And like I said, powertrain, all that is the same. But you guys will notice pretty much everything is identical with the cars from a design standpoint. The venting there off to the side looks a little bit different. And then also the front grille looks a little bit different. Got the Toyota logo there in the center. And then it says GR. But other than that, it's just little inserts they've changed, basically. Wheels, design, right, in color, kind of like going for a different theme, right? Blacked out mirrors. And then you can see the full side profile. So that, when you just look at the side profile, again, identical. And then popping here to the rear, you can see here with the taillights, again, all of this stuff is the same. The only difference you're going to notice is, again, you've got your GR86 badge there in the rear. So That's the only real key difference there. Still have the dual exhaust tips there on the back and all that. And then notice no vortex generator there on the roof, which I thought was interesting. Going to the door panel, you can see still got the Alcantara. It doesn't have all the red stitching though, so that's another key difference with the cars. And then you can see here with the seats, again, a little bit more neutral from a color perspective, but then bolstering and everything on the seat is the same. And then this one actually had the automatic, which I've noticed I've seen a lot more 86s with the automatic than BRZs. So I think that's kind of interesting. So you have the paddles on the steering wheel, and then obviously Toyota logos, all that, but everything else is the same here on the interior. So that's all identical. I guess the one thing I will mention before this video caps off is you're probably going to be able to get a better deal on a BRZ than an 86. It seems like Subaru dealers mark up their cars less than Toyota dealers, just what I've noticed. So there you go. There's a setting off here in the RAV4 TRD, and I'm a huge fan of this package, honestly, because I'm all about off-road vehicles, even if it's not a crazy off-road machine like a Ford Raptor or a Jeep Wrangler. It's still cool to me because it's like, it's taking, you know, a super practical daily driver SUV and just making it a little bit cooler. And frankly, even if you never take this off-road, this is still a great package to go for because you've got more aggressive tires, which will do better in snow conditions, for example, right? Snow's half the year in Utah. So yeah, just a great package overall. And actually, we'll just pop this into auto. I believe that's auto now. Anyways, ride quality with this, really solid, smooth. I just drove a 4Runner before this, and you can definitely feel the size difference, obviously, between the vehicles. But this is pretty much just as smooth as the 4Runner. You can definitely feel the different structures, though. Like, this is unibody, whereas a 4Runner is body on frame, and you can actually perceive that when you're driving the vehicle around. If you guys are wondering what the difference in feeling you get is when you drive a unibody vehicle, when you go over bumps, it doesn't necessarily upset the vehicle more, but the vehicle definitely stays more planted, but then you feel it more, right? It kind of, like, there's just this stiffness that kind of just goes straight through the chassis to you. Whereas like in a body on frame vehicle like a 4Runner, it floats a little bit more, so you kind of like, you know, float over things, and you don't feel it as much, but you kind of have that whole setup. We're gonna pop into the sport mode. Instantly, downshifts gets a little bit more aggressive. I do like the steering wheel, kind of how this feels. That's definitely another big plus. Seat comfort's great too. Bolstering is not too narrow to where it's constricting, so that's a big positive if you ask me. Slowing down here, we're gonna do our full circle around the roundabout. I'm gonna call it that every single time I do this. Shout out to the Canadian followers and the Minnesota followers. You guys should comment back, it's a boot time. Okay, I'm done. Anyways,